At 25 years old, everything seemed to be moving forward in Regis's life. Although he had graduated with a degree in tourism, he hadn't been able to find a job in his field. Nevertheless, he was happy to have secured a position as a waiter at one of the restaurants in the Fino Gourmet chain. He had already been working there for a year and a half at one of the locations in Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais. This restaurant was frequented by the upper class, which meant generous tips for him, boosting his monthly earnings. The restaurant was usually always busy, and to get a good spot, you had to arrive early or make a reservation. Since there were many locations, the owner, Giovanni, didn't often visit the unit where Regis worked. For this reason, each Fino Gourmet location had its own manager, and at Regis' location, the manager was Jefferson. Jefferson was known for preferring to serve wealthy, well-dressed customers and for maintaining the high-end reputation of the restaurant's cuisine. Despite the expensive prices for gourmet food, the restaurant also sold sandwiches and snacks at more affordable prices during the afternoon. One day, around 5 p.m., when the dinner rush had not yet started, a dirty, poorly dressed man entered the restaurant. He counted only his coins and ordered A. Regis placed the counted money on the counter. "Young man, please, can you sell me a cheese bread?" the man asked, clearly embarrassed. "Of course, sir, right away," Regis replied with a smile. But before he could continue, Jefferson, who had witnessed the scene, interrupted him. "What are you thinking, Regis? Do you think this is a place to give food to beggars?" Jefferson suggested angrily. "But, sir, I have the money to pay. The cheese bread costs 8 reais, and I have it right here," the man said, trying to explain himself. Without giving the poor man a chance, Jefferson grabbed the sign where the price was written, changed the cost of the cheese bread from 8 reais to 15 reais, and told the man, "You had the money, but now you don't. Get out of here! If you don't leave, I'll call security to throw you out and take this dirty money with you," Jefferson said, not allowing the man to defend himself. Turning to Regis, Jefferson added, "And you, Regis, the next time I see you offering charity to these street people, I'll throw you out on the street. You'll see. This restaurant is high class. It's not for that kind of riffraff who come here." "But, sir, he was going to pay for the cheese bread, and there are no customers right now," Regis tried to justify. "I'd rather throw that food in the trash than give it to these people. They don't deserve to eat here," Jefferson said, ending the conversation. Naturally, Regis felt outraged by his arrogance, but at that moment, there was nothing the manager could do. The night went by as usual, and another day came to an end. From that day forward, Regis was given a new task: to close the restaurant. The employee who used to handle that responsibility had been transferred, so it became Regis's duty. Before leaving, Jefferson gave Regis an order. "Before you go, Regis, take all the leftover sandwiches and snacks from the stove and throw them in the kitchen. Separate the disposable containers, as well as the food scraps. You can throw them out too." When Regis went to clean the stove, he noticed there were still some snacks left. Instantly, he remembered the man who had gone hungry earlier because his boss didn't let him buy anything. Once he got to the kitchen, it wasn't just a few containers. There was a lot of food about to be thrown away. It wasn't just small scraps either. It was food that had never even reached the customers' plates, meals that had been prepared but couldn't be saved for the next day. Regis felt sad for a moment, recalling his own childhood when he had experienced hunger. The sheer amount of wasted food made him feel uneasy. Still, he knew that if he said anything to his manager, he might lose his job. So, he simply prepared to follow the order. When he stepped outside to the back alley of the restaurant, he saw the same beggar who had tried to buy the cheese bread earlier. Now searching for something to eat in the trash, Regis couldn't stand knowing so much food was being thrown away. He called out to the man, "Hey, young man, come here, what's your name?" "Hey, my name is Alexandra," the man responded. Mr. Alexandra, I'm sorry about earlier. My boss didn't let me sell you the cheese bread, and I couldn't do anything about it. But I don't agree with what happened. If I had said more, I could have lost my job. But look, there's a lot of food here. You can take it. It was going to be thrown out, and no one will miss it. Please, take it. It's a way to help. With tears in his eyes, Alexandra replied, "My friend, thank you so much." After that moment, I couldn't eat anything else. I truly appreciate this. And look, all this food is more than enough for me. I'll even be able to share it with others on the street. Mr. Alexandra, listen. My boss can't find out, but I've been through hunger myself, and I hate to see all this food go to waste. So if you want, come back tomorrow. If there's food left, I'll give it to you again. Alexandra was deeply grateful. The next day, he brought along some other homeless friends, and they shared the leftovers from Fino Gourmet, which were always more than enough to satisfy their hunger, with plenty still left over. All the food that was destined for the trash was now helping those in need, thanks to Regis. About 2 months went by, and one day while Regis was serving a table, a customer. The customer complimented him, saying, "Congratulations, young man. I'm really impressed by your actions. It's people like you who make a difference." Regis didn't understand the customer's words and asked, "What do you mean, sir? I don't get it." At that moment, the customer showed him a post on their phone. It was from a social media influencer who had passed by the street late one night and saw what was happening. She stopped and spoke with Regis, asking what was going on. Not knowing she was an influencer, Regis explained that it was leftover food destined for the trash, and he had decided to give it to homeless people. Without him realizing, she took photos and posted them online. The post went viral, and Regis's name had already started to gain attention from many people. Regis immediately felt embarrassed, especially knowing that Jefferson was serving a table nearby and overheard the conversation. Curious, Jefferson asked the customer what was going on. After finding out, he immediately called Regis over and said, "I can't believe what I'm hearing, Regis. This is the last thing I needed. Now Fino Gourmet, a fine dining restaurant, will be ridiculed for giving charity to homeless people," the manager said angrily. "But Jefferson, this food was going to be thrown out and those people were hungry. I'm sorry for what happened. I didn't know it would go viral, but I just needed to help them," Regis responded. "That's right," Jefferson snapped. "Now the one who will need help is you, because you're fired," said Jefferson. "But Jefferson, I need this job," Regis pleaded. "That's right, Regis. You should have thought of that before playing charity instead of doing your job. Maybe now you can join your homeless friends and beg for food together. Finish your shift and get out," Jefferson said, giving Regis no chance to defend himself. 5 minutes later, none other than Giovanni, the owner of the Fino Gourmet restaurant chain, walked through the door and went straight to talk to Jefferson. "Hello, sir. How are you?" greeted Jefferson as he received the owner. "Hello. I've heard this unit is going viral on the company's social media," Giovanni said calmly. "Don't worry, sir. I've already taken care of it. Regis, the employee responsible for it, has been fired." "This won't happen again," Jefferson replied proudly, thinking his action was justified. "Fired? What are you talking about? This was great for us," Giovanni exclaimed. "Look, Jefferson, I've always known there was food waste in our restaurants, but I kind of turned a blind eye to it. We could have always helped people. In fact, I'm now thinking of starting a project to help the homeless. Our annual profits are rising significantly, and I believe God is allowing me to make this money. Why not create a project to help those in need and avoid the food waste? Besides, when people saw what we were doing, it actually brought more customers to the restaurant, increasing our numbers." "This young man was fantastic," Giovanni responded. "Mr. Giovanni, excuse me, but you're completely wrong. Your restaurant is fine dining, and these people are just a bunch of lazy folks who rely on charity because they don't want to work. I think it's ridiculous to spend your money helping people like that. When people like them show up here, I'll call security to have them thrown out. We shouldn't be helping this kind of person, said Jefferson, full of prejudice. Giovanni took a deep breath and calmly replied, "Yes, Jefferson, you're right about one thing. Someone here is wrong. But it's not me, it's you. I can't believe I put such a selfish person in charge of one of my restaurants, someone who judges others and refuses to help those in need. You're fired. And if I can give you some advice, be careful. Tomorrow you could be in their shoes." Jefferson tried to plead for his job, but Giovanni didn't back down. After firing Jefferson, Giovanni approached Regis and said, "Young man, I'd like you to be the manager of this Fino Gourmet unit." "But Jefferson just fired me," Regis stammered. "No, Regis, you're not fired. You're in charge now. We have a lot of new ideas to implement and I'll need your help," Mr. Giovanni said, embracing his new, trusted employee. Following this, Mr. Giovanni started a non-profit organization that provided food packages to the homeless once a week at night. He also established a community restaurant offering meals at a symbolic price. Would you have the courage to adopt a similar attitude, providing food to the homeless, even if it meant doing so discreetly? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to share this video with someone who might need it. A big hug to you and may God bless you. See you next time.